So, Mark, I decided not to go with a joke surrounding the movie today because of the tragic events. I decided to go with a joke that was Crow themed instead of movie themed. So, what did Russell Crowe say when he went down on his girlfriend?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but he was glad he ate her.
Oh my God, man. That is your worst by far. Dude, you didn't want to do a Brandon Lee joke out of disrespect and then you dropped that bombshell.
Get a little bit of gasoline. I'm gonna make it burn. I'm gonna make it burn. Let's go.
You are now listening to the You Run podcast, the only horror movie review podcast completely run and controlled, not by me and Mark, your hosts, but by you, our listeners.
Hey, Scoob, we're on the radio, bro. You want to die tonight? Zoinks.
You choose the movies. You score them. You review them. You do it all. Because after all, this is not our show. This is your show.
I'm your number one fan, Mr. Man.
It's not perfect. It has its problems.
The You Run podcast.
It was just weird. I don't know. I guess like a weird vibe.
The You Run podcast.
Bitch, you better not forget about me. Don't you ever forget about me.
Hey, this is Naomi Grossman, best known as Tucker from American Horror Story.
Hi, it's Imitation Dave. Buddy, you son of a bitch.
Just make sure you fucking listen.
This was fucking incredible. He's the one you need to blame.
Get a little bit of gasoline. I'm gonna make it burn. I'm gonna make it burn. Let's go. I'm gonna make it burn. I'm gonna make
Hello,
it burn.
welcome to the You Run podcast. My name is Scott.
My name is Marc.
And you are listening to the only horror movie review show completely run and controlled by you, the listeners. Now, I don't know how many people know this, but we record a little bit in advance. So since last time we recorded, me and Mark have both had a holiday. We've had a good break now since we last recorded. And I am feeling decidedly out of practice. Mark?
Yeah, me too. I mean, how long has it been since we last recorded it?
It's been a while.
Weeks. Yeah, it feels like forever ago. We might be a bit rusty.
Yeah, possibly. So don't judge us harshly. Remember, 5-star reviews, not you've done a duff episode, 1 star. That's not how it works. It's not dulled our excitement for the show, though. In fact, I personally am more fired up than I ever have been before. Having a break, I now am ready to kick ass. We do lots of things on this show that get me fired up. One of them is Mark's recommended account of the week.
Check it out.
It's that time of the week. It's time for Mark to recommend an account.
This week's recommended account is about horror movies. It literally is what it says on the tin. It's an account that has everything from reels, news, information, reviews, literally anything you can find on Instagram regarding horror movies and horror movie news, etc. This account covers it all in one nice little package for you. Save you scrolling around from multiple accounts. It's all here in one place. There isn't a really great deal to say, really. It is what it is. It does everything you would ask a horror account to do. Just check it out if you're interested in horror movie news or facts or behind the scenes shots or kill counts, or if you can think about it, this account does it, and that is about horror movies, all one word, no dots, dashes or symbols or anything else.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I like accounts that do exactly what they say on the tin. It makes life so much easier.
It does, yeah, and it feels like I'm underselling it, but it is literally what it says it does. It's an account about horror.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's really good. Also, you've joined TikTok now, Mark.
Well, we say I've joined TikTok. I'm on TikTok. How well I'm doing on TikTok, I can't gauge. I still don't know how to find people or get around it. I just know how to put my stuff on it, and then it does its thing.
So
I've just figured out how to reply to comments and stuff on there as well, actually. I feel like such a dad and a dinosaur saying this.
So does this mean at some point we're going to be getting some TikTok recommended accounts?
Yes, I will actually. Once I get a little bit more familiar with TikTok and the running of things, I can work out how to negotiate accounts and all the rest of it and find people. And because at the moment, I've moved to saying to you earlier, wasn't I? I'm sort of struggling to understand how accounts pop up and how you search through things.
Yeah.
But once I work all the finer details out, I will start bringing some accounts over from TikTok and Twitter as well, because I'm on Twitter, but that's another account that I'm on and share my stuff too, but very rarely use. So once I get my head around them all, I'll start intertwining a lot, I should think.
Yeah, I've ventured into the Discord servers now. So at some point, I will be announcing the You Run Podcast Discord server where you can all come and chat to us all the time. But that's, again, I understand that about as much as I understand podcasting. So bear with me.
Yeah, well, I've only just negotiated Instagram, and I've been on that for about 10 years. So maybe in 10 years' time, we can start integrating everything else.
Yeah, maybe. Another thing that's got me fired up and gets me fired up every single week is when we have guests. And today is no exception. We have guests, and guests, plural, our first double guest episode of the season. It gives me great pleasure for us to welcome back Skelly, who joined us for the Evil Dead episode. But she's not come alone. She's brought her daughter with her. She's brought Juliet, or as most of you will know her on Instagram, Joseph Quinn Films. Was Nightmare Films, but changed it due to a slight obsession with a certain actor from Stranger Things that has materialised in the last week or so. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome back.
How have you both been?
Called her out.
Calling her out on a Joseph Quinn obsession.
I did. Apologize. I understand the obsession. Don't get me wrong. He's an incredibly cool guy.
Yes.
Not my fault.
With or without the hair, though, that's the question.
Oh yeah, good question.
Either. It doesn't matter. I don't. There's perks because the long hair looks great, but at the same time, the short hair is curly, and I love it.
So it's just an all-round obsession then, regardless of how he looks.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, I looked at his eyes, and that was it. I was gone.
Right. Don't look into his eyes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
You're not.
But both of you are now doing edits as well, and your edits are outstanding. So the edits you've done for The Crow, for Stranger Things have been endless. The ones you've done, Skelly, for A Nightmare Before Christmas, all fantastic. They are top notch, and I've got to say, wow.
Yeah, we even got a special H4 dedicated one on the run up to the Safe H4 phenomenon. That was.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of did it out of spite. I looked at Mum and I went, I want to do it just out of spite because this was around the time where it was the constant back and forth of H4. So I was like, I'm going to be really spiteful right now. So I just did it.
I love it.
It was great. It was great. The other thing you've done that really impressed me, both of you, was when I asked you for a picture for the episode cover for this episode. I was not expecting what I got. Wow, both of you. Wow. Anyone who's not seen that yet, just click on the button to go back to the main screen as you're listed, and you'll see the episode cover.
I did that out of boredom once because I just have a bunch of makeup, and I was like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to do it. And then when she came to me about the podcast, she was like, wait, what if I did what you did? And I was like, you know where my makeup is, just go for it. So she just did that in like minutes. I just literally ran to the bathroom, chucked it on because I was thinking, well, Lady Crisis can do it. I'm going to give this a shot. Why the hell not? And yeah, it's a few minutes and I'm like, I took the photo and I like checked with my daughter, checked with my best friend, and it's like, do y'all approve? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, that's it. So, I didn't say anything. I said, you do you, boo. Yeah, you do you, boo.
It looked phenomenal either way. You guys look great.
It really, really did. So guests are here. Me and Marc are here after our break. So I guess it's time to introduce this week's movie. A movie that inspired an entire generation of goths, inspired vengeful ghosts being cool again, and brought us an incredible character to life while also robbing us of a future acting legend. I've got really mixed emotions about this movie. It's The Crow from 1994.
Devil's Night is upon us again. Throw a little party, start a bunch of fires, make a little profit.
When someone's dead, they can't come back, can they?
That's what I thought. Are you referring to anyone in particular?
My daddy used to say, every man's got a devil. You can't rest till you find him.
Winked at me before he jumped out a fourth-floor window like he had wings.
The crow is his link between the land of the living and the realm of the dead.
So you killed the crow.
Caw, bang, I'm dead!
The devil stood and felt how awful goodness is. And felt how awful goodness.
Now, I said this movie fills me with mixed emotions, and I'm genuinely not lying. I get nostalgia, joy, anger, sadness, all in equal measure as I watch this film. So we're going to dive in. I'm pretty sure it's going to become very apparent when these emotions arise, because I'm sure I'm going to relive them as we go through it. The movie kicks off on Devil's Night on the 30th of October. We get a panning shot of the city scenery in blaze. As much as I love this movie, I am going to make a comment here. The CGI now looks dated. The CGI is not as good as it was on The Fire.
It doesn't hold up very well, does it? I mean, it's sort of like that mixture between CGI and scale models.
Yeah.
And it's really, really noticeable. They do it quite a bit throughout this film. And it was really glaringly obvious to me this time around, actually.
It looks incredible. When this first came out, I remember watching it going, wow. But now, because things have progressed so much, it does look a bit dated. But
I liked it, though. I felt it had like a sort of nostalgia charm to it kind of thing. It looked bad but good at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, I enjoy seeing stuff like that.
Yeah. And we also get the monologue from Sarah, telling us about how the crow works. So she explains that the crow is the carrier of the soul from the world of the living to the world of the dead, and sometimes something really, really bad happens, and the crow basically gives you a second crack of the whip, lets you stay, brings you back. The panning shot ends up in the apartment of Eric Draven and Shelley Webster. We meet Detective Albright, who I'm going to call Ernie for the rest of this, because he will always be Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters.
I've got in my notes Ernie because I couldn't pronounce his name.
This scene is horrible. It gets more horrible later when we get flashbacks from the scene to what actually happened. But this opening scene is rather traumatic. You've got paramedics tending to Shelley on the floor, and Ernie gives the go-ahead for her to be taken out. You can see that it's going to be their following night is going to be their wedding night. So there's a wedding dress there. So Eric and Shelley were about to get married. Downstairs, Eric Draven is effectively splattered on the pavement. He's been thrown out the window. We bump into a detective who complains to Ernie about he moved Shelley. And Ernie comes back with one of the best lines ever, because the detective goes, "And I know why they took away your badge." And Ernie replies, "Yes, I wasn't a big enough arsehole."
Yeah. I can't remember. Does it ever reveal why he got his badge taken? Oh, it's because he was sniffing about in the case, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to constantly refer back to certain lines in this because I want to emphasize how well this movie is written. The script for this film is really good.
Well, it's based on he's got a great source material for it, hasn't it?
Fantastic source material. We also meet Sarah at this point, a little girl who comes up on her skateboard, and she explains to Ernie that Eric and Shelley look after her. She doesn't explain much more than that, but that's kind of, she goes, "Oh no, that they look after me. It's not my sister." Fade to black. 1 year later. What do you two think of the opening scene?
It's really good. It definitely pretty much sums everything up in a nutshell. Like
it sets the story up,
establishes characters up, like who's going to be involved.
It kind of just gives you a lead up to why a year later Eric comes back, or it kind of gives you that little bit of backstory. Is like, this has happened, and then you jump forward and you kind of understand why a year later he comes back how he does, because of what happened to Shelley and just that whole situation. And especially when you see the flashbacks laterwards, it's like laterwards. Yeah. It just sets off the character.
Yeah, it does. it really does set up the scene really well. So a year later, Eric comes back and pulls himself from his grave. When I watched it first time, I was like, that's awesome. When I watched it this time, I was like, why did he wait a year? Why was it a year? Why didn't he do it like straight away?
Maybe he's like Michael Myers and has to come back on a specific date on like Halloween and stuff. He's got the white face.
We're leaving Halloween alone today. Anyway, Eric gets out of the grave and he's incredibly confused. And I love this scene where the crow guides him through the city. It helps him find a pair of boots and eventually leads him back to his apartment. And at this point, we're only 15 minutes into the film, and this film has gone from starting at a high pace, and it maintains this pace throughout the whole movie. And I don't think there's many movies that do this. This is one of the few movies that doesn't lull. I was never sat there going, come on, do something. It's a constant movement. So once he gets into the apartment, we find out that Eric's got some powers. So everything he touches, he gets flashbacks from memories attached to that item. So going back into his apartment where all these horrible things happen, we get a flashback of the scene that happened just before his death. This is horrible to watch.
It is, you say that, but you know how strongly I feel about rape scenes in films. I can't stand it. I don't choose to watch that sort of subgenre of horror. I don't like the rape revenge side of things. I feel like this film handles this especially well. Nothing is, it's horrifying. It's very, very difficult to watch, but it's not done in a way where it's gratuitous. You know, it doesn't show you anything particularly. It's done from a point of view aspect from Shelley almost. And it's not as violent as it is and as graphic as it is. It's not sexually graphic and violent like some films can be. So I think he does a really clever job of handling it in a way that's getting the message across without being distasteful. Like sometimes I can watch films with my wife and it's got features of rape scene and stuff, and she'll just walk off, and rightly so, because I don't like it either. But I feel like we could watch this together and she wouldn't feel as uncomfortable as she would in most other situations with rape scenes in.
As he's reliving the events, he relives being held up and shot and being shown that he's watching it. He swings out of the window where he was thrown and grabs the glass. And when he lands back in, he realizes his hands have healed themselves, which instantly goes, that's cool, because he's now immortal. He goes and finds the Harlequin mask hanging on his mirror, which is linked to a happy memory of him and Shelley. And he then proceeds to do the makeup to match. You two both do makeup. The speed he done that makeup, is that doable?
No. I reckon when I did it, it took me 15 minutes for each eye because of the amount of black, and you have to get at least for me, I have to get the aspects right, or else it's going to annoy me really badly. And then you have to try and match the lines up properly, and it doesn't help when you have eye bags because the line doesn't go straight, and it's just and it doesn't work. So it's a much longer process, but you're not supposed to know that in the movie. That's
No.
movie magic. You're not supposed to know that.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks, and the makeup's really cool. I've got to say that the makeup for The Crow is some of the best movie makeup of any character. I absolutely love it. It's simple yet very effective.
Yeah, I like the use of the Cure burn in this as well. But this watch, it really annoyed me because it's very edited, the song. Like if you know the Cure and you know the song Burn, you'll know how it goes. But what they've done in this scene in particular is they've taken lines of the song that fit the scene perfectly and the story regarding Shelley, and then they edit it all together. They cut the chorus out and bang another little bit of a verse in with it. And it was really weird when I was watching it back. I've never noticed it before either. And then this time I was like, that's odd.
Like you're singing along and then you're like, wait a sec, that ain't right.
Yeah, I was like, I know this song inside out. There's no way I'm getting the words wrong. That doesn't go there.
From here, we get Eric up on the roof and he's running across the rooftop. There's two parts to this. One part where it's shot from a perspective of Eric Draven running towards you, and it looks spectacular because it's actually Brandon Lee and it's actually him running and jumping and doing the stunts. The next bit, it pans to the side where they've CGI'd the running. So he's running on a treadmill and they've CGI'd what goes in front of him. Again, I really liked it, but it didn't hold up as well as it could. And
yeah, definitely not. You could tell it was a bit off.
I remember when I watched it, I was like, this looks cool. And then it panned to the side and I went, what the fuck was that? Because it looked so awfully like CGI. I was like, what is this? I was like, I'm going to ignore that. But I also hated it at the same time. I was like,
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And that bit, I forgive them for that bit, because after I'd done a bit of digging, that side scene was added after Brandon Lee's death. So that was done with a stuntman.
There is a few scenes which does, and you can notice them, and I'll probably try and capture as many as I can as we go through. But one thing I didn't notice, I didn't catch that with the treadmill scene, because it's peak summer here in the UK at the moment. It's very bright, it's very light all day long. And then I watched this during the day, and even though I shut all the curtains and blinds and everything to try and darken it off, there was still quite a glare on the screen. And this is a very dark film throughout. It's always nighttime. I think you get one small scene later on in the loft with Eric and Sarah, but other than that, everything else is nighttime throughout.
Well, actually, speaking of the CGI, I don't know if you guys actually didn't mention this, but like with after he does the makeup, when he stands at that window, that's CGI, his face.
Yeah, his face was CGI. His face was CGI'd when he's standing at the window, and it was CGI'd when he was falling out the window.
Yeah.
That wasn't his
I would
actual.
never have picked up on that.
No, and I think that because it was done so subtly, and it's done, you get a shot right in his face, and then they pan back, and it's very dark, and they've got the flash of the lightning as well. I think they've done a very good job at masking it. And it's still, that CGI looks great. It's only when they go full balls to the wall, we're going to CGI this whole scene. Because it was made in the 90s, they didn't have the technology to do that. Now you think pretty much every movie, 99% of it is shot on a green screen.
So I noticed this when I was watching it. So there's a part outside before he even went to the hotel where there's a certain frame where he's walking like he's shivering. That exact same frame was used when he was actually walking into the apartment. They actually used that exact frame and just used it again. So him walking in the apartment was actually that frame.
Oh, really?
From the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think they've just done such a clever job of integrating all of this, really, considering, I mean, you've seen some of this, the de-aging technology that they use now, and considering how much technology has moved along since this film came out, none of it looks anywhere near as good as what it does in this film here, particularly where they've masked his face onto stunt doubles and stuff. And yeah, we've got problems with the set design a little bit and the CGI fires and stuff like that, but the actual work they've used at recreating Brandon Lee it's not even noticeable. You have to know your facts to be able to pick up on this kind of stuff, I think.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You do. And from here, we get the start of the revenge plot, where Eric Draven is using the crow is hunting down the people who hurt Shelley, and Eric can see through the eye of the crow. The first one we get to is Tintin. We get a brilliant stuntman dive from the top of the building, where he falls down onto the rubbish. That was actually Brandon Lee done that himself, which I still find impressive. We get a brilliant fight scene. Brandon also done the knife stunt. So when those knives were being thrown, the knives were actually being thrown at Brandon Lee. He
actually caught a knife.
He actually caught the knife, and he actually pushed the knife away, and you can find the raw, unedited footage on YouTube.
So he's just as superpowered as his dad was then.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. So with the knife stunt, it was a stunt knife. It wasn't a real blade. It was a stunt plastic knife, but he does catch it. There's a couple of times he fucks it up and he kind of like bats it down and dodges it, but at no point did that knife hit him. Wow. Super cool. We get a brilliant kill here as well, where he pins Tintin to the wall with a knife, jumps up next to him and hits him with the line, "Victims, aren't we all?" And then it cuts to black. Absolutely love this. And then he steals his jacket, which if anyone's interested, in 1995, 1996, I had a jacket just like that.
Wow. I would have loved to have seen you in that getup.
And the long hair to match.
Wow. I would have messaged Lisa to get these photos.
We need the photo.
From here, he moves on to Gideon. Gideon is a pawnbroker, and he uses Tintin's memories to track down where Tintin pawned Shelley's ring. He goes in and he causes absolute chaos in this shop in about, a minute-long scene. He steals back. Is it his guitar he steals back?
I think it might be because he was the guitarist in the band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was pawned off as well. So that I think he took his guitar back and the thing, considering I think I read something where like Brandon hated carrying it around because it was heavy.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So
Yeah. I mean, this segment here is the best sort of 15 minutes in the entire film for me. I love it when he walks through the door and he starts quoting Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven.
Yeah.
Yes, I
It's just
love
so cool.
that.
It's such a badass scene, man. This whole thing is just great.
Yeah, and then he gets the shotgun and he fills the shotgun with the rings of all the other people that he's damaged lives by taking the rings from these criminals. Then proceeds to douse the place in gasoline before going out and firing the shotgun full of the rings back at it, causing a massive explosion. The explosion looks great, and that's because they actually blew it up. It's actually a real explosion.
Yeah, but did you notice that he stood in the doorway still? He still stood in the doorway. I didn't know whether he was doing this to sort of prove how indestructible he is as a person, but like he lights it and it blows up, and you see well, obviously it's obviously not Brandon Lee himself, but you see the silhouette getting engulfed in flames as it blows up. It's really clever.
Really, really clever. Really, really cool shot. But he lets Gideon get away. So Gideon escapes, which leads me on to my two least favourite characters in the entire movie, and I hate both of these in equal measure, Funboy and Darla. We get a scene where they're in the bar, and you've got the Romanian members of this gang all taking shots of drinks and swallowing bullets and stubbing cigars out on their tongues. And I hate these guys. And Funboy's top of the list for the one I hate the most.
It's when they do the fire it up thing to me. It annoys me every single time I watch this film.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we all give it a go now?
Oh, God.
Funboy and Darla, who's actually Sarah's mother, go upstairs to have sex and take heroin. While her daughter sits at the bar and is served a drink of Coke. Who is this woman? Who does that to their child?
Heroin addicts do that to their children.
It definitely explains the whole connection she has with Shelley, though. I mean,
it's just horrible. And they go upstairs and they leave Sarah downstairs, and Eric arrives and interrupts their sex. I love this scene where Funboy starts mocking him, and then he threatens to shoot him, and Eric puts his hand over the gun and goes, "Well, take your best shot then." And he shoots him through the hand, and Eric does this jumping round, screaming, and then like spins his hand round with a hole in it, pokes his eye through it, and goes, "Woo! This is cool."
Yeah. Is this it then? Is this the scene where Brandon Lee actually died in real life?
No.
He died in the flashback scene where he actually got shot. Funboy's acted like that. His gun actually
when
shot
he shoots
Brandon.
him and he falls out of the loft window at the beginning. Ah, right, okay, because I always wondered, because I thought it was this scene in particular, because this is where Funboy dies, and this is where they had the shootout in the Funboy's apartment. So I just always assumed this was the moment where he actually died. Because then my next question was like, so if this is it so early on in the film, how much of this was filmed out of order?
Yeah, no, it wasn't here.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, they actually back then they did movies from back to front, so that's why
normally,
back then. So it's like that's why they didn't have to do too much CGI with Brandon in the beginning of from what we see as the beginning of the film, because it was filmed back to front.
Well, it was actually said, or I remember that if he hadn't have gotten killed when he did, how the actual flashback scene was supposed to go was Brandon was supposed to walk through the door with groceries and then see everything happening with Shelley, and then kind of, I think he was supposed to fight them or something like that. But because he died, they couldn't show his face, so they had to completely alter that scene entirely. So that's how it should have gone, but because he got shot,
I think I would just find it so hard as part of the production crew to be able to continue working on a project like this, knowing what had happened. Like you're editing and CGIing this person in, knowing he's recently just died on. I don't know, man. I mean, that's just me as a person. I think I find it really difficult to continue working on this project.
When we get to facts, there's lots of stuff that went on, and lots of things that they used to assist with the CGI. There's a couple of things they made that were destroyed after they made them, but I'll talk about that in facts when we get there. So after he's finished taunting them, he hits him with a dad joke, and I was so pleased. It's like one of mine.
I'm sorry, it can't be as bad as yours.
Funboy goes, "Jesus Christ," and he goes, "Jesus Christ," walks into a bar. "Stop me if you've heard this one." He hands the innkeeper 3 nails and says, "Will you put me up for the night?"
That's my favorite part.
Yeah,
I love that part.
And he kills Funboy by giving him an overdose. And then proceeds to set Darla straight. First time watch, I thought he was going to kill Darla, but he squeezes her arm and squeezes the heroin out of her arm and tells her that mother is the name for God on the lips and hearts of children everywhere. And that is spectacular, because that is so true. And that scene, that quick 2-minute scene is so powerful. I'd be interested to know how many people who have addiction issues watched this and actually had a moment where they went, do you know what? I need to fucking sort myself out. Because I imagine there are a few.
Oh, especially if you're in a neglectful situation like Darla is, I can't imagine you could watch that comfortably enough and not reflect on your own personal behaviours and the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly that. And we now get Gideon running off to Top Dollar. So Top Dollar is the head of the gang. Gideon goes to Top Dollar and tells him that there's a man with a bird coming after him. Top Dollar genuinely could not give a shit. And I like the fact they played him as he's a big crime boss. He really doesn't care if there's a guy dressed as a crow carrying around a bird. And he stabs him straight through the throat. We also get to meet his half-sister, Top Dollar's half-sister, and she is creepy as fuck.
I've only just realised this time around they have an incestual relationship.
Yeah, it's not nice. Man. Yeah, it's not cool. I have a sister, and no. Why would you even write that into a story?
I think they're just trying to put on display how despicable this guy is. It's just weird, man. It's just weird, isn't it?
It's so strange. While this is happening, Eric is actually saved by Ernie as he tries to escape from killing Funboy. And he's being chased by the choppers. They later have a touching moment in Ernie's apartment where Ernie's telling him that he stayed with Shelley till the end. And Eric says, show me. And he touches Ernie and all the memories come flooding back. A couple of times he's seen Eric and Eric's done this kind of disappear when he looks away. This time he's like, are you going to do that like vanish thing now? And he's like, no, I think I'm just going to use the door. And again, I loved it because it humanized that character. He wasn't a supernatural monster all the time. It made him a real person again.
Yeah, I was just about to say the exact same thing. I love this scene more than any other in this film, purely based on how humanized the character is at this point. You have a genuine interaction between him and the officer. The way he goes and grabs him a beer out of the fridge, and he genuinely confides to him about how he feels about Shelley and all the rest of it, and he feels all the pain that she went through, and you could tell he was grateful that he was there with her until the end.
Yeah, and I love that. On to another two characters I hate is T-Bird and Skank. They've stopped at a store to get some supplies. They kind of like half rob the store. While they're in there, Eric jumps in the back of their car. T-Bird gets in and Eric makes him drive incredibly fast through the streets. Skank goes and steals a car and tries to follow them. I can't emphasize how well the guy who plays Skank, how well he plays that character.
I always thought he was the same actor who played the hitchhiker in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Obviously, they're very clearly not, but growing up as a kid, when I used to watch the two films, I always thought they were the same person.
Yeah, and if you watch that guy interviewed, nothing like that at all. Very nice, very well spoken. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah. He's unsettling to watch, though, isn't he? His mannerisms and the way he behaves. He makes me nervous watching him on screen sometimes.
He makes me absolutely laugh so hard. Like,
just the way he talks.
It's how he talks. It just cracks me up. And like one of the lines he has with Top Dollar, I literally practically wet myself laughing with when he says it.
It's like how he says it. It's how he says it.
Which one's that?
Which one?
Okay, so
you're gonna mess it up.
I'm gonna mess it up. I know I am. Was it? I feel like a little
worm on a big fucking hook.
Yeah. That is so cool when he does that, and everyone on the table laughs.
Yeah,
yeah, because then Top Dollar repeats it, doesn't he? He's like, "You feel like a little worm on a big fucking hook." Wow.
Yeah,
so good, very very good.
That was ad-lib. That was perfect. So
yeah. T-Bird gets to the point where Eric's got him to stop. Eric has strapped him to the seat of the car and loaded the car full of the explosives that they're using to set the fires on Devil's Night. He then lifts the handbrake and he goes shooting off into the river with a huge explosion. We get the big fire crow in gasoline, which is great. And that's been
so
used
iconic.
on. You could show anyone that and instantly they would know what that is. It's such an iconic scene. Skank sees this happen and runs off to Top Dollar because he shits himself, basically. When he gets there, they don't wait long for Eric to arrive. And I love this scene. He strolls in like this meeting room in the back of this nightclub is packed. There must be 25 heavily armed criminals in there. And he just struts in like, hi, yeah, I've come for him. Let me have him and it'll all be fine. And they don't. And the fight scene that follows is amazing.
You see, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to be that guy. Yeah, this is where I kind of dip out on this film a little bit for about 15 minutes.
No.
It goes from being a really moody, gothic, really dark, to all of a sudden just being this actiony shootout. And it's, I used to love action films growing up, but I've hit that point in my life now where I'm like, I'm kind of done with it. And when it comes on TV and all you hear is bang, 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 I'm like, it's just noise and mess. And it felt very messy, this scene. I didn't like it. I kind of didn't like this at all. I felt like it felt very detached from everything else that was so cool that came before it. And from here up until probably like maybe the last 10, 15 minutes, I think I dip out of this film quite a bit.
Wow.
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy who shits on the Crow, because it's awesome, but I'm going to have to say it how I see it.
Wow. Okay.
As the whole time you're talking, Juliet's just holding her face like, what the fuck?
I'm sorry.
And this is the man you support. And this is the man you supported with a H4 reel. Feel your regret. He gets everyone in there. You get the three main ones escape. So you get Top Dollar, his weird sister, and their advisor, who's actually Candyman, which I didn't realise till this time round. I completely missed that the 30 other times I've seen this film. They escape, leaving Eric with Skank. And he kills Skank. And as far as he's concerned now, he's done what he came to do. And he's going to leave. He says goodbyes to Sarah and he goes back to the graveyard. While he's there, Top Dollar and his advisor and his sister have worked out that Eric Draven is linked to the Crow, and all they need to do is kill the Crow, kill the man, and they kidnap Sarah. Now, this is where the movie changes from the source material, because in the original story, the story is if Eric has done what he needed to do, so he can now leave and cross over, and he can't go and save Sarah. And if he does, he has to remain on Earth and roam the Earth forever. And this is where they changed it for the film to allow him to save Sarah and still get a happy ending. I think I would have liked to have seen the darker ending where he makes the decision to save her, but then has to stay on Earth.
Yeah, I think I would have preferred that as well.
Yeah, I think I would like that. And I know they changed that because they wanted this to be an open and shut movie. This was never meant to be sequel. This was we want it one and done. We don't want him left on Earth. We don't want him roaming around. This isn't a movie we're going to make 7 more. It's not going to be a franchise.
Was this something that they did after his death? Is it?
No, this was prior.
Right, so this was an already established. It was just going to do a one and done. They didn't want to continue this forward.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That.
Before we move on, I just want to give a big shout out to Tony Todd, by the way, because this guy is such a well-blended actor. I didn't even realise until this watch that it was Tony Todd in this film. Like, he can be in so many things, and I never realised it's him. He's such a cool actor, man.
Yeah, he is.
His voice is how can he not?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, apart from his voice when he speaks, but he doesn't do a lot of talking in this film.
No, he doesn't. But everything he says is quite pivotal. He's. I would say throughout this movie, he is the only one who speaks sense for the vast majority of it.
Even though he knows he is a left-hand man and the less superior one, he has this aura about him where he always knows that he's the most intelligent man in the room, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. So we get Sarah's taken in to the church. Eric follows, and he's met by Top Dollar and the sister and Candyman. And they shoot the Crow and injure the Crow. In doing this, Eric gets shot as well, and he now bleeds like a human. And he gets Ernie to the rescue. I love the fact that they brought Ernie back for this bit. So Ernie's gone there to pay respects to Eric, who he thinks has now passed. And he walks into a gunfight that he didn't expect. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. Again, it's just noise though at this point, isn't it? It's just bang, 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 bang. It's annoying, man. It doesn't need to be in this film.
I tell you what, just for you, Mark, we're going to skip past the noise and we're going to skip to the bit where they go upstairs. So Sarah's taken to the top of the church and we get the weird sister holding the crow. And the crow gets a fucking kill in this movie. The crow actually kills someone.
It takes her eyes out violently as fuck, man. And the practical effects they use in this scene is so cool.
Yeah, and how many movies do you get a kill like this? They're not often. This is rare. And then not only does he peck her eyes out, he sends her over like the banister and splats her on the bottom of the church. So she's definitely dead. Which is weird when you watch the sequels because she's in one of the sequels, but we won't go there. We're not even going to talk on the sequels.
I haven't seen any, so I can't comment.
Yeah, it's not great.
Isn't John O'Connor the crow in one of them?
Yeah, we're going to leave the sequels alone.
That sounds as bad as I've just explained it.
So Top Dollar has Sarah on top of the roof as hostage. Eric gets up there and Top Dollar just pushes her to the side and she goes sliding down the roof, manages to stop herself from falling. Eric is about to lose this fight that he has with Top Dollar, and Top Dollar's doing the thing that I hate when villains do. He's monologuing how he's going to kill him and how he's superior and how he's done all these nasty things and it was him because nothing happens in his town unless he's got the say-so.
I mean, as far as evil villain monologues go, though, this one was pretty cool.
It's one of the better monologues, but it was a long monologue. Eric brings it to a crashing conclusion as he grabs him by the head and goes, well, I've got something to share with you. And he gives him all of the memories and all of the pain that he suffered since Shelley died, which overwhelms Top Dollar. He falls from the roof and gets impaled on a gargoyle.
All the blood comes running out the gargoyle's mouth. It's so cool, isn't it?
It's so cool. So cool. Eric rescues Sarah from the roof before handing her over to Ernie. He then goes to the graveyard where he's met by Shelley and he crosses over. The following day or a few days later, it doesn't specify when, Sarah goes back to the grave, which is now not dug up and it's now all flat. The crow sat on top of the grave and it drops Shelley's ring into her hand. The movie ends in the same way that the movie opened, with a monologue from Sarah. And she hits us with the buildings burn, people die, but real love is forever. And it's a really nice, touching way to end it. And it ends on a black screen with white writing that says, for Brandon and Eliza.
I'm going to assume that Eliza is Brandon Lee's wife.
It was his fiance at the time of his death.
Because I didn't know that when I saw it. I was like, who is Eliza?
Yeah, and without her, the movie would never have happened.
Which I'm sure you have in store for us, in fact.
I have, yeah. It's a very touching end to a movie. It's a very sad end to a movie, so I'm not going to dwell on it too long. And instead, we're going to find out what you think of this movie. We wanted them. You delivered them. It's this week's Free-Word Reviews from the listeners. So, Free-Word Reviews this week. A Home for Horror, Love and Revenge. They're a horror movie poster account. Voices from the Mausoleum. A reminder, appreciate life. I think that's very apparent. She's a YouTuber and podcaster and everything else. Go and follow Voices of the Mausoleum. Pip Shop Homebrew, amazing cult classic. Pip Shop Homebrew is a home brewer and horror fan. He's also laid up at the moment healing after he tore all of the tendons in his leg. So he's got about 12 weeks laid up at home. So get well soon. Recover quickly, because I know you listen every week and I'm sure you want to get back to work and not just listening to me. We got Mad Max 1366, My Sexual Awakening. They're a private account and I don't quite know what to say to that. I'm not quite sure what part of this was the sexual awakening. Maybe Brandon Lee. I don't know. It made me chuckle. Anyway,
hopefully not the brother sister incest thing.
Yeah, let's hope it wasn't that. I don't do this very often. I'm going to add my own free-word review. Now, the free-word reviews this week, apart from the sexual awakening one, are all they're very nice and toned down. And I think that's because of how we look at this, as this is Brandon Lee's legacy. And this is the movie that everyone remembers as the film that he lost his life on. So I'm going to go with a 3-word review that we should have got, but we didn't. Crow removes eyeballs. Because that was the 3-word review I was waiting for, and it never came. So I'm doing it myself. You let me down, listeners. Into facts. It's time to find out what you know about this movie and what we know. It's facts. I'm going to focus as much as I can on the movie facts, not on the facts about Brandon's death, because this is a movie review, not a tribute to Brandon Lee, as fantastic and great as he was. So originally, Fun Boy was not supposed to fire a gun at Brandon Lee's character. It was changed last minute by the actor. By director Alex Porras. So in that scene where Fun Boy was not meant to be firing the gun, Fun Boy was meant to be on top of Shelley, and they swapped it round. So had that not happened, it wouldn't have been him who shot Brandon Lee. While most of the scenes after Brandon Lee's death were digitally composed, they made a mask using a cast of Brandon Lee's face. So this happened. They took a mold of Brandon Lee's face after his death, and they made a mask from this that actors were meant to wear. The cast and stunt doubles were too unsettled and refused to wear it. The prop was destroyed on set in a memoriam to Brandon Lee, and they used CGI to fill in the gaps instead.
That's a bit weird, that, man. I mean, who has to sign off on that in order for
that was his fiance had to sign off on that.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable to even listen to, let alone actually participate.
I was shocked when I read it. I was like, that ain't true. And then I went and done more digging. I was like, oh, that is true. It's mad, absolutely mad. According to Empire magazine, cocaine abuse was rampant on set. Cameraman shooting whilst high, crew going to the toilets to snort cocaine between shoots, and people cutting around their drugs while on set. There is a famous scene that you can find a clip of it again on YouTube. So in the scene where they're all in Top Dollar's office, one of the actors sneezes, and Brandon Lee jokes, well, that was a waste of $50.
That's cool.
Apparently,
has he participated himself? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know what Brandon Lee's drug taking was like. It was the 90s. I'm guessing everybody was partaking at the time.
Is this what was responsible for his death and the misconduct on set? Then, do you think the fact that everybody was absolutely wired?
It wouldn't surprise me if all the production crew were taking it. It would explain why mistakes were made. But apparently it's quite widely known that was happening. Production was so troubled that a neighbouring productions in EYE Studios began taking bets on what was going to go wrong next. They were doing this right up until a fire destroyed 8 of their sets.
Wow.
Which I thought was hilarious. So they're betting on what's going to go wrong with the Crow, and then they lost half of their built sets to a fire.
That's karma.
That is karma. River Phoenix and Christian Slater both turned down the role of Eric Draven. It was offered to both of them prior to Brandon Lee.
I would have loved to have seen River take on this role. He was a great actor. Also a very tragically untimely death.
Yeah. In fact, Christian Slater is the only one left of those 3 great actors.
He is indeed. But I don't think he'd have done very well in the role. I don't think he would have suited the moody darkness of it.
No, I don't think he would either. We've had a fact in from one of the listeners, so Spaceman and the Doll. There were scenes shot with the Skull Cowboy character, who's a character from the original works, who was played by Michael Berryman, who is the guy from The Hills Have Eyes, 1977. So all of those scenes were shot and ready to go. They were all cut following Lee's death.
I remember. When you say The Hills of Eyes, do you mean the guy who's on the cover?
Yeah.
The tall, weird-looking guy.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't read the graphic novel, so I don't know who that character is. Does he play a pivotal role in the?
He's another one of the gang members, and probably the worst gang member. I think had they kept him in, he would have been the one who would have been left till last.
Oh, so he would have been the T-Bird character, if you will.
Yeah. But they cut all of that out. There were lots of accidents on the set. People claimed it was cursed. A manual worker had a screwdriver embedded in his hand. An equipment truck burst into flames. A stuntman broke several ribs after falling off a roof, showing Brandon Lee how to do the dive that he'd done. He broke 6 ribs, I think it was. I don't break ribs. Instead, I break spirits.
Oh, shit.
I told you, I want to play a game.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood.
The power of Christ compels you!
What have you done to its eyes?
Well, it's elevated horror.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
You're going to like it.
I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
How was that the slaughterhouse?
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Oh, I know this one, you fuck.
Yeah, that was the best interchange into Broken Spirit you've done this season, I think.
Did not see that coming.
Okay, so Broken Spirit, we've got Skelly and Juliet both taking it on. They're going to work together. I'm going to let them confer. I'm not going to be horrible like I've been to Marc in the past, because that's not nice to a guest. It's 15.
But it's nice enough for you to do it to me.
Yes, fine to do it to you. You're the co-host. Just suck it up. There's 15 horror-related questions, 10 points for every question. Get one wrong, the game is over and you lose all of your points. You can at any point walk away with the points you've got, though. So the goal you're looking for is Spaceman and the Doll podcast, and they scored 40. I can't remember. What did they get, Marc?
40, I believe.
40.
I'm sure.
Yeah, 40. So you're looking for...
I'm sure Zerford did quite well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So you're looking for 5 correct answers. If you get 5 correct answers and walk away, you are in with a good shot of winning the season. We're both going to take turns in quizzing you. Do you want Marc to go first or me?
Marc.
Okay.
Fair enough. Right, I have faith in you guys. You're our first duo taking on Broken Spirit. I feel like you're going to do very well. So I'll start off with question number 1. Are you both ready?
No.
You got this. Come on, let's do it. Right, question number 1. Who is Brandon Lee's father?
Bruce Lee.
Well done, 10 points.
Okay, question number 2. What franchise would you find a Cenobite?
Hellraiser.
Correct, 20 points.
See, you're nailing it, guys. Don't worry, this is fine. It's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. Question number 3. What is the only horror movie to star Busta Rhymes?
Halloween.
Yes. Do I give you that, or do I need which film it is?
No, I think you could let that go. Halloween's good enough.
Halloween's good enough. Well, then we'll let you
yeah, it was Halloween.
It was actually Halloween Resurrections.
But yeah, I think that's good enough. So you're on 30 points. So question number 4. How many actors have played Jason Voorhees? Now it's multiple choice. So is it 1, 3, 5, or 9?
You can confer between you, so you can talk it out. There's no reason why you can't discuss it and work out on your fingers how many you know.
I don't know. Like I feel like I know, but you know.
What do you feel?
I don't know, because
my brain wanted to 5, but I don't want to say 5 because that sounds like too many.
Not necessarily, because there's like.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's like what 10 or
so
a bazillion.
I think I'll specify. So I'm including the remake, and I'm including Freddy versus Jason.
Jason. I thought you were.
That leaves you 10 films between that. Is it 10? Do they have 10 in Friday the 13th?
No, Jason X was 10. Freddy versus Jason was 11, and 12 was the remake. So there's 12 movies.
That's a lot of movies.
Yeah. So what were the answers again?
1. So was it 1 actor, 3 actors, 5 actors, or 9 actors?
9 seems too many to me.
5 actually might be right.
Just remember, you can walk away. You do not need to answer this question. You can walk away comfortably on 30 points.
We don't walk away from the challenge.
I like it. My kind of people.
Five sounds,
Trust your gut.
5 sounds wonderful.
It does. doesn't
9
it?
sounds like too many. 3 sounds like too little.
Because when you think,
If you're thinking it was
because
like
if that's the case, then one actor would have to play Jason the entire 10, and then the other 2. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I'll pick 5.
5. 5.
5 alive.
No, I don't say that.
All right, all right. We'll go 5.
You're going to go 5?
Yeah. Why not? When in Rome.
Game over.
Believe it or not, it was actually 9. There was 9. So Derek
I
Mears,
couldn't believe this either.
No, so Derek Mears was in the 2009 remake. You had Ken Krasia in Freddy vs. Jason. Kane Hodder played him in Part 7 and Part 8. Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. CJ Graham in Part 6. Tom Morgner in Part 5. Ted White in Part 4. Richard Brooker in Part 3. William Gillette as Unmasked Jason in Part 2. And finally, Ari Lehman played young boy Jason in Part 1. I was shocked at how many there were as well.
You see, you should have maybe said that you was including young and flashbacks and all the rest of it.
Oh yeah, you didn't include that. You just said the Jasons. You never said young Jason too.
Now that's
Oh, because we would have probably gone bloody 9 then. Oh, okay.
You don't really well.
I forgot that the young Jason's in the first one, but I was thinking Jason.
Yeah, you do in that question. I would have been with you. I think I would have probably gone 3 personally, because the only ones I can really remember are Kane Hodder and Derek Mears from the remake. I know there was another person who played Jason before Kane Hodder took over, so I would have gone with 3.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
I was thinking 3, and I was thinking the last 2, but I'd see if he said it included the little Jason, I would have probably gone 9.
But that would have been too much information.
There is one more question I do want to give you, though. I want to give you what would have been the final question, because again, this was a question that I was shocked at, and I think the listeners would like to hear this. How many Crow movies have there been already?
4.
Wow.
4? No,
Wait.
No, because the fact he's even asking the question tells me that there's more than that.
Well, okay, so let's do Bridget.
There's the TV series, isn't there? There was a TV series.
Movies.
Just movies, not the TV show.
City of Angels, the one with Edward Furlong, which is trash.
Yeah, but again, something tells me there's
guy.
more. Something tells me there's more because he's asking the question.
I do actually know of a movie that could have been, but never was.
Well, I don't know.
Is that the Momoa one?
No, actually, it's Rob Zombie.
If you count,
was actually going to direct
that'd have been insanely cool.
I reckon I would
Rob Zombie the Crow.
See that. Yeah, apparently he was going to do one. It was going to call The Crow 2037. But for some reason they just decided not to. But apparently the script is online.
I would finance that shit myself.
Yep. But I'm thinking, I'm going to go. Well, I know of 4. But there probably is sequels.
Don't let him lure you into a false sense of security. He's a bad man. If you feel 4, you are probably right. Scott plays mind games in this quiz. Don't let him do it to you.
Yeah, yes. It is 4. I didn't think there was that many. So I knew of The Crow, I knew of City of Angels, and I knew of Salvation. I didn't know anything about Crow, Wicked Prayer from 2005. I did
actually know
the 2.
I lasted 9 minutes.
Go figure.
Figure's the last one I would have.
We tried watching it.
Yeah, I found that as soon as I found there was one in 2005, I was like, oh, do you know what? I'll try that. I lasted about 9 minutes into it and went, what on earth is this? It's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
You obviously know your Crow knowledge, you two, because you was listing them then and saying that the Edward Furlong one was the 3rd one, was it? Yeah. I thought there was only 2, City of Angels, and I thought he was the main actor in City of Angels. I didn't realise he was in the 3rd one.
Yeah, so City of Angels, to be fair, wasn't too bad, and that had Iggy Pop in it, and I kind of liked the story that City of Angels took, but yeah, the rest of it.
I saw something on Facebook the other day. I'm in a group like, what's it called? Anyway, something killer something on Facebook, like a horror group, and someone put an article of City of Angels and actually said how much of an underrated sequel this was. Where do you guys stand on it? I mean, you've seen it clearly. What do you think?
It's not bad. Like, it's like, don't lie. No, because like you obviously can't have Brandon in it.
Don't lie. You said it was shit.
You remember, yeah. It's not the worst movie.
I've not seen it, so I can't pass comment. I don't know how bad it is.
Skelly and Juliet, 0 points. Joint 4th place. We're causing it to messy. Let's move on to scores. So the listeners scored this a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
Honestly, I don't have a lot to say in a wrap up for this movie. It's great. I love it. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. You're missing out if you've not seen it. Despite some of the ropey CGI, this movie for me is still a 9 out of 10. Mark, where are you sat with this one?
Well, like I've already said, I don't want to be the guy who shits on the Crow, but I am going to be the guy who shits on the... No, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to be the guy that shits on the Crow. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is an outstanding film. I love it, and I love watching this film regularly. But watching it now and taking notes and speaking on points that we need to speak about as we do when we do the shows, there's a lot of things throughout that I've picked up on that I've been like, this seems to have aged really badly. And it's only seemed to have done it within sort of like the last 5 years. It seems like I've gone back to it recently and all of a sudden it's just looks really dated and really tired, if you will. And don't get me wrong, Brandon Lee gives an outstanding career-defining performance. Regardless of his untimely death, I feel like this would have been the staple of what people would have remembered him for. Regardless if he had gone on and had an outstanding career in Hollywood and all the rest of it, I feel like everybody would always refer to him as a guy who was in The Crow. It's a film that gets you in your feels from start to finish with notable, memorable quotes throughout. I don't know. I just feel like with talks of the remake on the horizon, I can't help but feel like this is one film that does deserve it. Because as much as it's shadowed by Brandon's death, the source material is so cool, and I feel like it could be done better, if that makes sense. Like, it is a great film, but I feel like it could be taken and done in a way which is more horror-centric. Because to me, it's a lifelong battle. Is this a horror film or is this an action film? I think this is personally more of an action film than it is a horror film. Same way that you could battle all day long whether Terminator 1 is a horror film or a sci-fi film. Mm-hmm. People call it a slasher film. Is Terminator 1 a slasher film? I have the same battle with The Crow, where I don't necessarily feel that just because it's got gothic undertones throughout it, it doesn't make it horror. It, to me, is an action film, and I feel like a remake where it's more horror-centric would do the source material a lot better justice than this film does itself. And I feel bad saying that because I love The Crow, but I've just got to be honest and say how I feel. It's a great film. I love it, but it could be better. Let's see how much you do love it. What do you score it? It's still a 4 out of 5 for me. It's a regular watch, and I'll always go back and watch it again and enjoy it time and time again. But if you ask me to sort of critique it and tell you how I honestly feel, I would score it less than what I actually score it, if that makes sense. If I had to score it from a critical standpoint, I'd maybe put this at a 3, but as a personal score, it's a 4 out of 5. Yeah. Okay. Skelly, where do you sit with the Crow?
10 out of 10. Hands down. Like, I've always enjoyed it. The lines are incredible. The acting for all people, not just Brandon. Everyone acted incredibly, considering the circumstances. Yes, the CGI is a bit off, but, you know, for its time, it was awesome. You know, like, only just because now we've seen so much change is why it looks so dated. But, no, I definitely say 10. Like, I just always enjoy watching it every time.
I'm going to say 9 out of 10 purely because it scared me when I was a kid. So 1 point for scaring me taken off, but beyond that, a 9 out of 10 because it is very enjoyable still. Or at least I still find it enjoyable, minus the fact I was scared of him when I was younger. Go figure. And still scared of a figure of him as what? That's creepy. I heard it talk, and I remember I left my apple right next to it. So the listeners didn't know before we started recording. Skelly went and got a NECA figure she's got of the Crow, and Juliet is decidedly unnerved by said figure. I don't like it. It looks creepy. It
says the one who is an actual, proper, legit Freddy Krueger weapon.
Yeah, but that's a weapon you put on a hand and it doesn't talk. But that's creepy. Next week, we are going to go
international and all found footagey as we take a look at Wreck. We're going to be joined by Tasha from Horror Bestie Breakdown. If you don't know who she is, you can go and check her out on Horror Bestie Breakdown, or go and check out our latest episode of True Crime where we cover Chris Benoit. Tasha joins us for that episode and for Extended Cut. It's the first time we've taken a guest with us into Extended Cut. If you've not listened to that yet, Heather goes very, very wild about a Hulk Hogan sex tape, and that's all I'm going to say about that. A huge thank you, Skelly and Juliet, for coming on. I'm so pleased to have you back on the show, Skelly, and you with us for the first time, Juliet.
It's a pleasure to be here. It was not what I was expecting.
She was speaking the whole time. Like, I was excited because I'm like, I get to talk with the boys again, and it's going to be so much fun. And then she's like freaking out. It's like, she's like, what are they like? And I'm like, they're cool.
Yeah, we're nice people. You don't have to be scared of us.
Everyone go and follow Skellington Fan and Joseph Quinn Films on Instagram for no other reason, but they're both wonderful people. And if you want a reason beyond that, their edits are some of the best on Instagram. And that's not me blowing smoke up their arse. It's so, so, so good. While you're going to follow people, also go and follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want to follow us. A huge thank you for listening every week. The numbers this season, week on week, get bigger and bigger. And I'm astounded by the amount of people we can now reach. It scares me. There's that many people who give their time to listen to us.
I think that's all down to Halloween 4. Let's give Halloween 4 a round of applause, shall we?
Fuck off with Halloween 4. Don't forget, if you like hearing me and Mark talk shit and argue the toss, you can go and catch us on Horror Movie News, which comes out every Friday. This week, we're going to be discussing one topic at great length, which is going to be the remake of The Crow, and our thoughts on that, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm also going to add into that some comments that I've had from Skelly over the last couple of months on some posts, because she's got some strong views on whether there should be a remake, and lots of others do as well. So come and check us out on that. Thank you all for listening, and I guess that's the end. We'll catch you all next week.
See you next week, guys.
You want to die tonight?
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the You Run podcast. Don't forget to get involved in the show. All you need to do is head to our website, yourunpodcast.com.
This is not our show. This is your show.